Hello, welcome to SharePoint Power Hour. I'm Laura Rogers, Microsoft MVP, and I have Joelle Jobson here on audio.
Hello, everybody.
And today, so we have SharePoint Power Hour is what we do every week, probably for like 6 years now we've been doing this, and we are not programmers. We are not going to do anything super technical. I consider myself sort of a no-code business solution low code person. So I don't know code, I don't know programming, but sometimes I can go in there and just poke around and figure stuff out. So that's sort of the angle that we have at SharePoint Power Hour. Everything we do is like Power Apps and Flow, and we used to do SharePoint Designer workflows, and we used to do InfoPath, and we also do just general stuff in Office 365 and SharePoint, like web parts. So today, the topic mixes together several different things in Office 365. First of all, it's going to be involving Flow, it's going to be involving Microsoft Teams, and SharePoint News. So I wrote a blog post about this, and I posted it just this morning on my blog, wonderlaura.com. And welcome to those of you in the chat. I posted the link to that in the general tab in the chat. We use Slack. So if this is your first time, that's the fun part about this being a live show, is that we can have a conversation and you never know what's going to happen. So we are in Slack, iwmentor.slack.com. And if you're watching this in right below the video you're watching on YouTube, in the description, there is a link to fill out the form to join if you've never joined. So that's the fun. So hi everybody in the chat, say hello, do roll call. And the idea today, I'll just quickly give you a quick synopsis of what my blog post was about. It was in our user group meeting yesterday, our Birmingham SharePoint Office 365 user group meeting. We talked about Microsoft Teams, and we talked about just general conversation about it. Like, it wasn't just a presentation, it was just more of like an open discussion, and just different things different companies are doing, and best practices, and what you've seen end users do, and driving adoption, and just different cool things you can do in the tabs in there. So it was just kind of all over the place. But one person was asking us, say, well, what's SharePoint for now? If we have everybody doing their collaboration in Teams, what do we use SharePoint for? Why would they go there? And one of the main things I said was the intranet. That's the intranet is totally not the same thing as Microsoft Teams, but that's where you have your information about different departments in your company, and people can click around and read about the HR department and your policies, and do new employee onboarding, read pages about all the different departments. And anyway, you all know what an intranet is. So we were talking about, what if you are using the news pages in SharePoint and people are all buried in Teams, then how do they know when things have been posted in there? And they're trying to get away from sending out all these email blasts. So they, trying to use just SharePoint and have people get, maybe do announcements and things like that. So first of all, I showed them how you can go into Teams and just do a tab. And when you create a new tab, you pick SharePoint. It lets you actually pick a SharePoint page from your site pages, and put that as a tab in Teams. You can also put just any site, any website URL, which could be like your main homepage of your intranet, as a tab. But then we were talking about, well, then how do end users know when new news has been posted? So then I had seen an announcement, and I posted that in the chat here, about Teams and adaptive cards. It's a new action that they just added to Flow. So I'd actually been playing with that yesterday morning. Before you could still post a message to Teams, but an adaptive card is a little bit different. It's gives you just a different way to customize what the message looks like. So I had been kind of playing with that, and was planning on showing that in the user group meeting anyway. But then basically I ended up saying, well, you could have a flow that doesn't just post to Team. There's already a template that posts post a page to Teams when you that you can click on a SharePoint page. But this one would post it as a nice, pretty adaptive card, and that way they would get notified because it would come in as a new message in Teams. They would know about it, and then they'd have a pretty little card where they can read about it and then click to go read the article. So that's the idea behind Power Hour today. So with this, though, we get to look at all these different technologies, Flow, Teams, and SharePoint, and this new thing called adaptive cards that is a very devy type of thing. It's for programmers. I'm not a programmer, but I was able to kind of, like I said, just kind of dig around and figure a couple of things out. But I definitely do not have adaptive cards mastered after just playing with it for 2 days. So I'll show you what I got. Okay. Let me go ahead and what do you all think? Is anybody in here a dev that's done anything with adaptive cards? That might be very helpful. Okay, so we'll just see what you all say about that. I'll go ahead and share my desktop. Joelle, do you think that would be an important adoption thing for people to have a pop-up if they're buried in Teams and working in there all day to let them know about news, and that way people will know that when they're posting news, everybody finds out about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely helpful if you have, you're going to have some people that are going to use Teams more because that they're just doing collab, and then you're going to have people that are in like HR or internal communications that are working more on the internet. So at least that kind of brings people together in that way. So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, great. Cool. Okay, let's see. Here is, first of all, let's go to so this is the site that I've been using for the thing that I already built, but I'll just go to a completely different one for this demo so that, I'm not building it in the exact same spot where I already built one. So there is I'll go to my site contents. I could just click pages right here to get there, or I could go to site contents and go to my site pages library. But I'll show you first of all what we're dealing with. This part's going to go pretty quickly. It's the idea of here are a bunch of pages, and you're going to have probably an image to go with your page and some text. Let's see. I'll go ahead and add some text since this one doesn't have any. There. Okay, so I've at least I have a page with some text on it, and it has an image. So it has a title, a description, and an image already. So that's really what I need just to make this look nice when I demo it. That's what I need. So I'll go back to pages, and that was my travel instructions. And I'm going to, now we haven't done the configure page approval flow yet. All I'm doing is just creating another flow, just using this template over here. Post a message to Microsoft Teams for selected file. Now that already does something. I'll show you the difference between what this template already does and what the adaptive card will look like. So I create this flow, and I will say, let's see, I'll go ahead and rename this Power Hour Demo. Selected file, because we'll probably do a different one too. Okay, so it gives me this flow that already knows what library I was in. It knows what to get the file ID in that library. Then this is the one I'm not going to use, the post a message, but we'll go see what it looks like first. So I'll go to my, just do my SharePoint Power Hour team and my general channel and save that. So you do need to pick a team and a channel when you use this. And then, so it's saving. That message always makes me think that I didn't save it correctly when I see that, by the way. All right, so now I saved it. So now let's go run it. So I'll go to my library and my travel instructions. Let's see, without even refreshing the page, let's see if it's already there. Look at that. So I've got a selected file. I checked the little box next to it. And now I'm manually triggering this. And we'll see what it looks like. Now, this is the first time I've run it, so it's kind of generating this little page. It's only going to do this to me the first time, though, where I have to click continue and run the flow. And I could go into that flow, into the selected file thing, and take out this required message and just have it go without having to have a message. All right, so I ran the flow. Let's go see. It says it's running. And let's go to my IW Mentor. No, not my IW Mentor, my Power Hour. There it is. So it hasn't. Oh, yeah, that's it. So that is what it looks like. It just says test me and travel instructions. And this is done in HTML to make this a clickable link, and it takes me to that page in a new window. Okay, that's fine. So that's what the canned one does. It puts a post, it puts it by me. So I'm the one who manually triggered the flow, and it puts it by me, and it puts it in the right place with the name. This is what I typed when I typed my message. For manually running the flow, I typed test me, and then this is just the name of the page and the link to it. Okay, now let's see. Oh, the general channel has links to all this stuff that I'm talking about. It has a link to the blog post I wrote, and it has all the reference links to the things that I'm talking about. I always just put those in the general channel because the Power Hour channel always gets all crowded with the conversations we're having. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is we'll look at this new adaptive card thing. So instead of posting a message, and I put a link to in there to Microsoft's documentation about this. So this is post your own adaptive card as the Flowbot to a channel. So I could post a message as the Flowbot, just like type something pretty normal. And then what is an adaptive card? What is this? I'm intrigued. So I'll pick the same team and channel, but now I get to figure out this adaptive card thing, which is what I did yesterday. Okay, so I've got this. Now I need to have a message. So that's where the adaptive card comes in. I go to this example that it has that it takes you straight to in Microsoft's post is this one where it has an example adaptive card here, and it's basically got all these little sections. It's all just hard-coded information, but it's got all these little sections that you can click on where you can type something else or you can delete it like that. So, and I can go in here and add these little other types of containers. Like it's already got an image here. I could add another image like this. So then as I'm doing this though, it's generating all this code. So I'll scroll down. Oh, and I can click on each of these to do, like for this image, this is the exact image that it's using. So it's got where I can configure each of these further over on the right. And this is literally yesterday was the first time I'd seen this, okay? So then it's generating, as I'm changing stuff, it's generating all this code down here. And I can see like, I could put like a placeholder here. I could say like article title. And that way, when I'm looking at the code, I can see this is where I'd want maybe the article of the title of my news post to go. And so that I can use like, asterisks or something just really obvious to put it in the right spot. So I can configure this to kind of go with what I'm going to do with posting an article to teams. So like for this one, I can say description. And then, but what I can also do, I would put it in bold when I put the asterisk in the front of it. So that's where my code is, and I could go here and just click copy JSON, and that will take all this code, and then I take the code, and what this flow is expecting is a big blob of JSON code right here. So that is my message. Okay, let me just undo that. So then what I started playing around with these adaptive cards was I clicked on, ooh, what is this? Samples. So then I started clicking around in all these samples. These are really cool. So this is the first one it gives you. Then it's got this calendar reminder, flight itinerary. That is so pretty. Flight update, food order. That's cool. People can click and have like a little, and ask them more questions according to what they click. Isn't that, that's so neat. And these can, adaptive cards can be in emails or in Teams. And you've seen these before probably with your SharePoint approval, with just the approvals thing in Flow, the approvals action. That actually sends the thing that it sends in the email with the approve and reject and the little thing where you type the comments. That is an adaptive card. Sandy, do you know about adaptive cards? Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Darn it. I wish you did. I wish somebody could help me out here. Okay. So anyway, it's got some very, so it's got, you know, put photos, an example of an input form, other inputs, just an example of what they'd all look like. So these are very pretty. You can play solitaire in a card apparently. So as you can see, you can configure these to look in a nice way. And get all the code and put your own data in them. Okay, so this is an adaptive card with a video in it. Pretty neat. So the one I picked that I liked for this example for just putting a SharePoint news article was this restaurant one. And I put that in my blog post. And then when you click to try it yourself, or you can just grab all this code and paste it. But when you click try it yourself, it just puts it in this same little designer thingy. So that's where I can go decide where I want to put different things from my news article that I'm posting. So like the news date, and I could type news here, article title, and then maybe the description could be there. And then more info is, look at this, it actually takes you to a URL. That's a fun one. I'll put that in the chat. So it takes you to a URL. So I'm going to want to replace that with my URL. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab all this code and just copy it. And go back over to Flow and paste it in there. So I got it looking the way I want. I don't know anything about code, but I do know that I put sort of some placeholders in here for myself to be able to put information about my news in here. So here's where the article title is. I'll use my dynamic content here. Where is it? Get file properties. Why is it not getting the file? Oh, I hate it when it does that. Did this to me earlier for a selected file. Now it's like all broken. Hold on, let me see if I can exit out of it. There, I'll just leave that one in there and I'll just add the other one. And then I'll delete it in a minute. I'm not even gonna get into what the heck it's doing to me with not giving me the file properties. And you'll notice in my blog post that I wrote that you have to use for a selected, I noticed that I had to use for a selected item for it to work correctly, to do this for a page and then get a file, not an item. So it's weird. So this worked a minute ago. So let me go ahead and just add that code in here. If it will go get my Teams for me. Oh, does it do this to you too? Yeah. Steve says, do you access adaptive cards from the flow you create? You generate the adaptive card. Why is it not? Okay, that is weird. Just like go out and go back in. Make sure that still works. So all of a sudden it's being weird. The flows Logic App flow template was invalid. Oh, that's nice. That was just a template that I used. That's awesome. I will go to the one that, of course, I already have one that I created that works. So I'll just go use that one. SharePoint page to Teams. Anyway, so you go in here, and I actually exported the whole flow and put it in my blog post so you can go download it. Wow, this whole thing is like jacked up now for no reason. Yes, Steamer, it would be nice to broadcast that to all teams. I wonder if there might be a way that we can do that. Let me see. I feel like I broke all of Flow. Did I break it? Like hard refresh. I broke like everything. They're all broken. The demo gods. Okay, here, I'll just try and go back into this one. Okay, so that still has the old message that I put in there. Let me try and add a new one. Teams. Try and add that. Oh, see, that looks better. Okay, it's actually, okay. It wasn't doing this a second ago. General channel. Okay, and my code. And then I have my article title. Let's see if my data is there this time. Look at that. For a selected file. And it doesn't have the... Look at that, Sandy. Isn't that weird? Get file properties is like non-existent now. It all of a sudden broke. I'm calling out Sandy because Sandy is a Flow MVP. Maybe you could go talk to some people about this. Good Lord. Okay, this is the one that I did an hour ago. It's weird. None of them will open. Isn't that strange? This is, yeah. Okay, don't even get me started. Okay. Right, Joelle?
I mean, somebody was mentioning issues with Power Apps. Maybe
yeah, so maybe they're all broken today. So let me just show you the screenshot of what I did real quick in my blog post. Because I do have more. This is what I was trying to show you. So you go into this code here and you just pick the dynamic content and put it in the placeholders in the right spots. And then there was even one, when you scroll down further, there was even one where it had that YouTube video, the Rickroll. And then that's where I put the link to item from SharePoint, which will link you to that news item. So then you get this nice, pretty little adaptive card that has your news. See, it looks just like the same style of that restaurant one, but it's got the title. For the date here, I actually inserted the first published date, so you can tell this is a very old page, so you might not want to use the first published date. You might want to use like today's date or modified date or something like that. But I use first published date, and then I put the description from the SharePoint page. And then for more info, that is where it is the link to item from SharePoint. So that will take you to that SharePoint page. So then you can actually go download this flow. And so the next kind of thing is, do you want to have to go do those manually? So that's a lot of work to ask people to remember to go do those manually. So then the idea is that you could set up just page approval. Does anybody in here use page approval? So this way, if you already have a process, if you already have some process that people are doing when they're publishing pages, like page approval, then you would tie it into that. So I can go here and choose configure page approval if I've never done this. I think I did this in another Power Hour already. But when you configure this out of the box page approval, it creates a new flow for you. I'm going to call this electronics because that's the name of the site. I don't want to get it mixed up with my other ones. And then I can hard code some certain approvers in there. I'll just put myself and create. So this will actually create a flow for me in my own list of flows. So Deemer, it's actually posting as the flow bot. So since it's posting as the flow bot, I don't know if I need to have access to all those teams because it's not posting as me. So we'll go look at that. All right, so this created the flow for me. So it actually is the page approval thing. It has been added now. And if content approval wasn't already turned on, it's turned on now. So let's go see, let's go double check this. Go edit a page. I'm kind of boring today. I'm just using text web parts. And then I'll just submit for approval. Isn't that cool? So it's completely integrated with my pages. So I'm submitting for approval, so then it's going to run the flow. But I want to show you where I can put this. So what you can do is you can tie in this message sending the card to Teams with the flow, with the page being approved. That way it's just automatic. It's just part of what everybody's already doing. So that's going to send an approval to me to approve the page. But what I want to show you is the flow itself to show you where you can insert that. And I put a screenshot in my blog post as to where you would insert this. But you're basically going to see the part, it starts an approval, and then based on if it is approved or rejected, it does different things. So then what I can do is if it's approved, then I can go add the thing with the adaptive card. So then I can go post your own adaptive card as the Flowbot to a channel. I don't know if you necessarily, would you want to spam all of the teams with one blast out to all of them about this news article? Would you necessarily want to do that? I mean, I guess they all have a general channel, so that's one thing, but yeah. Yeah, this thing is jacked up. It's like it knew that I was, oh, there we go. I was going to say, it was like it knew I was doing a demo about it. General. And then that's where you'd put that JSON code that you'd paste from here. Where'd it go? Adaptive card. There we go. Copy the JSON. Put that in there. And then, etc. Like I said, you would put your information about the file, like the date created or modified or whatever it is, whatever date you're going to be using. And see, that's how you insert all the fields in the right spots. And like, here's the more info button. And that's where I would put the, I'm just going to find it real quick, link to item from that actual news article. And then what I love is the image where you can put the actual image from your news article in there. So for that one, it's called background image, or sorry, banner image URL. I need to start with a B. So there's my banner image URL. And then that would post it to Teams. Like, let's see, I already did a couple in here. That would post it to teams like this after it gets approved. Pretty nice, right? So, what you were saying about posting it to all the teams, let me see. Let me just check that. Let me think. I'll put that in my other, well, actually, I know this flow actually works, so I'll put it in this one. So let's see if I can do that. Teams, let's see what teams actions I have. That's a good question. It makes total sense. I don't know if people are going to want to blast all the teams, but I can go list all the teams. And then for each team, I can post that adaptive card maybe. So let's see if I can do that. So instead of this team being SharePoint Power Hour, I'll do a custom value and I'll do team ID. And then they all have a general channel, so I just left that as general. So let's see if that actually works. We'll go through the whole thing. That's pretty cool. That was way too easy to make it go post to all the teams. But since it's posting as a bot, I don't know. I might not have to have access to them all. I'm not sure. But that would be scary if somebody could just go in here and create a flow that blasts something to all the teams, whether they have access to them or not, right? Okay. So let's go try this out. I'll just go to a different page. Look at that. That's awesome. Flow. Something went wrong. Yay. Okay. So I'll go to another page that I've got here. I've got a people directory. People love people directories. That's actually a new web part. So I'll go edit this people directory and I'll go people. I thought I saw one the other day that had not just people, but maybe it's just the type of site I'm in or something like that where it's not showing, but it had like a org chart or something. Anyway, okay. So I will put some text, blah, blah. Submit for approval. That's going to make me type a message. Now, you're also assuming they all have a general channel. Does anybody know for sure if general channels can be deleted or their name can be changed? That might not work, because I know they all have a general channel by default, but potentially if those could have been altered, then you might have to go list all the channels to list all the teams and then list all the channels in the teams, right? After we do this, we're going to go dig into the adaptive card stuff, because that seems like a lot of fun, although I don't know. Has anybody in here done the adaptive cards and know anything about actually filling out the form data and submitting it in one of those? That would be huge. Okay, let me type please in here. So I said at the user group meeting yesterday, I showed them like kind of what I had figured out in Flow so far with the adaptive card. And then I was like, does anybody, maybe one of you could figure out how to let you actually click something in the adaptive card and fill it out and post that data to Teams, which that's the part I couldn't figure out. Oh, good. Thank you, Mandy. I appreciate that. Mandy says they all have the general channel and it can't be deleted. So look at this. This is just awesome. It's just sitting here. Okay, so it did submit it. Okay, thank you, Ryan. Thanks for the feedback. That's awesome. Okay, so now I've submitted this page for approval, and I'll go to my my little fake email in here, my fake tenant, and something went wrong. That's awesome. I don't know when that came in. Maybe this new one will come in, so we'll see. We'll refresh it. It says it's running. Is that the run that I started running 33 seconds ago? Because I thought I had kicked it off twice, but such a pain. Let me go to approvals and see if it's in there. No, it's not. It's just great. I'm teaching a class on flow in a couple of weeks. Let's see. It's 2 days long, and it's the week of the 22nd. The 22nd, 23rd, 24th is Power Apps, and 25th and 26th is Flow, and you can sign up for one or both of them. So I canceled that Flow run. So let me see if it will let me try it again, just on that same. No, I'm going to do a different page, because pages have that whole approval thing where it, if it's in draft. So I don't want to try and run it on just a page that's not in the right, doesn't have the right setting here. So maybe, let's go look at some of these, maybe some of these library settings, some of these extraneous library settings are stopping it from going through the approval process. So maybe having this extra draft version is causing problems with that flow. So I'll turn that setting off. Okay, I'll go edit that again. Edit. That's the pain about having this whole approval process before we're doing the thing that we really want to test, is because then we have to go through this whole mess just to get to that part of the workflow. And go. Yeah, it's being weird. So yeah, I'm really curious if it's going to go loop through all the teams and do that though. So let's do a manual one. So I have a adaptive card to teams manual workflow. It's just clicking a button. So I'm just manually triggering a flow, and I'm posting a test adaptive card. But what I can do is I can add that action to get the teams here. That way I can just not worry about whatever the heck is going on with the approval process not working, and just manually kick it off. Okay, so I'm going to list my teams. And then for each, instead of posting it to this one team, I'm going to put the team ID for all the teams that it went and got. So now let's try this out. And I did have some fields to fill in, that I was putting some of this data in the card just to test the card out. Come on, Flo, seriously? Okay, well, so we're waiting for this. I don't know how long I want to wait for this, because I still want to go look at the adaptive card stuff. This is like, it better not. See, if it does something like this when I'm teaching my flow class, that'll be really irritating. So what I've been doing the last couple of days is going through and doing as much as I can with like getting screenshots of all my flows and just grabbing as much of that as I can and putting it in the slides just in case of random stuff like this. Because, yeah, it doesn't usually do this, though. It doesn't usually completely jam up and completely break. So this is a new one. I've never seen it just act like this. Yeah, so, yeah, it doesn't like, there we go. No? I would think if it didn't like that action to go loop through all the teams, that it would still run and give me a fail, like it would fail. It wouldn't just get stuck right here with just trying to run the flow. Okay, well, let's look at adaptive cards. And yeah, so Sandy said at most it'll post to the teams you're a member of. So test exceeded 21 hours ago. I'll just run a test again and see if that works. Okay, so at least we're in the flow now and it's running. We got past the manual trigger screen that was stuck. Let's see if it actually lists all the teams. Oh. So Nicholas says Power Apps has been slow for him all morning. Oh, somebody else was saying that too. Christy? Yep. So maybe it's Power Apps and Flow. It listed all my teams. So look at that. Here's the raw data of all my teams. And, ooh, did it actually do it? So let's go to teams and look. So what's it supposed to look like? I don't see a little notification thing on any of these. So that was yesterday. This is some other adaptive card stuff I was doing yesterday. So it didn't actually, yeah, see, it didn't actually post anything, at least yet. I don't know what it's doing though. Good Lord. Oh, there we go. So now it posted it. These all just have a bunch of test stuff in them. No, this is all just other stuff that I was testing. Yeah, I mean, it makes it look like it didn't error out. It makes it look like it posted it in all of them. So we might have to, I'd probably have to spend another hour or two of my life, playing around with, poking around with this and seeing what exactly it's doing or not doing. Anyway, adaptive cards are intriguing. So what I've played around with in this one is, so let me get rid of this list teams thing. Oh yeah, error executing the API. It didn't like that. It didn't like putting the team ID as the team there. Huh. Maybe you need to write it to a variable or something. I'm not sure. Get rid of that. So theoretically, you could do something in Flow that would list all the teams and list all the channels and like loop through them all and do something on them. But yeah. All right, so here's what I was playing around with. In this adaptive cards thing, is I found one that I liked in the samples, the food order. And I said, well, let me try the food order and make that, put that in an adaptive card in Teams. So I just took this exact code, just like I showed you, and put it in that action in Teams. And this is what, I'll show you what the result was. The result was in here. So I was playing around with a bunch of them in here, and you could see them like scrolling back up to all the different. Okay, so this is like a very simple test of just a couple of fields. And then this is one where I'm asking them their food type. So then this is cool. So this comes up in Teams and people can go click a button and then pick an option and type stuff and click OK. Oh, that's awesome. I can have forms and, not like Microsoft forms, but forms like this that I could have in Teams, and I could have an approval flow, like put an approval form in here or do all kinds of cool stuff. But then I realized that I kept trying this over and over. As you can see, it's even got different questions depending on what you pick. I realized that me clicking stuff and clicking OK was not actually doing anything. Let that sink in. So that was a little frustrating. So then I did this simple one of I was trying to Google and read all these blog posts and just like figure it out real quick. But I was doing this before this bug yesterday. So then I was trying to just do this simple one where you just pick a color and submit it. But then I also created a flow that is triggered when someone posts a message to Teams. So I thought, well, I can have this ask them a question and have when they answer the question, it triggers another flow. But that didn't, them clicking submit here doesn't trigger as a message. It doesn't post a message. It doesn't do anything. So then I did finally figure out how to make it do one. So click me for message back, and I got it to I got Flow to respond to it. So all Flow said was I clicked this, or let's see, oh, three replies from you and Flow. So this is what Flow replied with. So I got Flow to actually reply, and I got it to see, I was trying to get it to put, instead of just showing a generic message like I just clicked a button, like it was doing, I was trying to actually make it show the data that I had just selected, to actually say pick green and show me that I just clicked green. But all it's doing is this object, because I don't know code, you know. So exactly, Nicholas. Exactly. I don't know where the data goes. So I was reading, and I put all the links in the chat. I was reading this adaptive cards reference. So this is the part of Power Hour where we kind of delve into, like, I have no idea. And I'm just kind of, this is as far as I got. And I'm not sure what the next, so I got as far as creating the card and giving it a cute little button to click to go to a URL. But then this is what I was playing with, these card actions and this message. So I did get it to do the message back. So I got it to do a message back when I click the button. But all it says is user just, I click this button. And you can see that in Teams where it said, it had Flow respond to me and say, I click this button. But I want the text to say what I selected. I wanted to actually have data from the thing I just clicked on. And for the life of me, I could not, I was just guessing, because I'm not a dev. So yeah, it does require code, Sandy. I don't know if it requires you actually creating a custom bot or creating, I know that all Paul Schaefline's stuff in, where was it, in GitHub that he sent me in Twitter, was there's a whole thing in GitHub. Oh, I put the link in Slack, this stuff in GitHub. But all those links are all like programming and writing code and actually having an app and deploying the app and all the stuff that I don't know how to do. So I think that maybe, yeah, see, this is all like, I have no idea what any of this is. I think that maybe having a URL would be the key. And because I showed how you can do a URL, so it showed how you could like take you to a YouTube video or take you to that actual SharePoint page. So we could do a URL when you click the button, but maybe that's going to involve doing a post and then having a flow that reacts to a post and then doing something from that. I don't know. So that it kind of got out of my wheelhouse once I got to figuring out where the data goes and how to get it to actually tell me, like, let's see, this is the data, this is the color I selected. I want it to actually, see, I was trying all these different syntaxes. I want it to actually tell me which color I selected. So, yeah, I don't know. But then I thought it was pretty cool that you could customize the way these cards look and be able to send those from Flow and be able to make them look nice and look like a news article and have a link for people to read the news, because I was kind of going back and forth on whether I should even bother delving into adaptive cards in Power Hour since I don't really know them. But again, my point of view is always from the low code, no code, custom solutions, no development perspective. So, and you all know that. But I did want to provide you with some cool things that you can try out as far as not only building cards that you can you can do these in Teams, but those cards can also be sent via email. But of course, then to actually make the data go somewhere, you have to know some other things that I don't know and study and know code. So, what do you all think? So, do you think that's at least useful enough to be able to go do, make it push announcements to Teams and make them, have them formatted in a nice way that you can control and at least have something, you could do that kind of thing in HTML too. But this is just, it's a different kind of interface that gives you kind of different controls and things that you don't necessarily have just writing HTML code. So that's about it. Yeah, let me flip back over to there we go. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with all those errors with just Flow just blowing up today. That's fun. We have SharePoint Saturday Atlanta coming up May 11th. Joelle lives in Atlanta. I live like a couple of hours from Atlanta. So our whole team is going to be there in person. SharePoint Saturday, Atlanta, May 11th, which is in a month. And we're even going to have an IW Mentor booth. So we're super excited about that. Joelle and I have been working on all the like marketing materials and stuff. Oh, I need to finish doing that today, Joelle. So, we're going to have this will be our first time having a booth. Yay. So, yeah. Yay. So we're doing a booth and I don't know, are you going to speak, Joelle?
I might just work the booth, just that way, so when you're speaking, I can be there and stuff.
Yeah, and Chris will be there too, and I'll be doing presenting a session. I don't remember what. Let's see. Let me get the link to SharePoint Saturday Atlanta real quick. I need to write a blog post about that too. Here it is. Copy. Okay. SharePoint. So you all come to SharePoint Saturday Atlanta and meet us, or come to the SharePoint conference in Vegas, May 21st through 23rd. Use my discount code Rogers when you register, please. And sign up for my Power Apps and Flow workshop, which is a post-conference workshop. Apparently, I have like 176 people or so registered so far, and it maxes out at like 200 something. So you all come register for my workshop before it fills up. I'm excited about that, about meeting you all in person. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all in Atlanta or seeing you all in Vegas, and come meet us in our booth. We're not doing a booth in Vegas. I wasn't really prepared for the big time with the booth yet, but
maybe next year.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thanks everybody. Over and out.
Bye.